You are standing in the great hall when the messenger arrives. The doors open slowly, and every conversation dies before the sound even reaches you. The air changes first, heavy, cautious, as if the walls themselves understand something you don't yet know. You turn. The messenger doesn't look at you. That is the first sign. In this castle, every man meets your eyes. You are not just a knight. You are his knight, the king's most trusted blade, the one sent where others hesitate, the one who returns when others don't. And yet this man avoids you. He kneels before the throne. You follow his movement, not his words, because the king doesn't speak. That is the second sign. You have stood beside him in battlefields soaked with rain and blood. You have heard him laugh in the face of death. You have seen him give orders that changed the fate of entire cities. He is never silent, but now he listens. And when he finally raises his hand, it is not to call you forward. It is to dismiss the court. You are walking through the corridor when you feel it again. The silence, not the peaceful kind, not the quiet of a resting castle. This silence watches you. Servants lower their heads too quickly. Guards shift their weight as you pass. Conversations end just before you approach. You have lived here long enough to recognize patterns. And something is wrong. You reach your chamber, but you don't enter. Instead, you turn toward the king's private quarters. You are stopped before the door, not by strangers, by men you trained, men who once followed you without question. Now their hands rest on their swords, not drawn, but ready. His Majesty is not receiving visitors. The words are formal, but the tone is not. You look at them, really look, and you see it. Not hostility. Not yet. Fear. You could push past them. You know you could. You are faster, stronger, more experienced. But you don't. Because this is not a misunderstanding. This is something else. Something already decided. You are lying awake that night when the memory returns. The last battle. The moment everything changed. You remember the field, gray sky, broken ground, the smell of iron. You remember riding ahead, just as you always did, cutting through the enemy line to reach their commander. You remember the king behind you, closer than usual, too close. And then, the hesitation, a single moment, a fraction of time, where your instinct told you something was wrong. You turned your head, and you saw it. Not betrayal, not yet, but doubt. In his eyes, you are summoned at dawn. Of course you are. This is how it happens. Not in darkness, not in secrecy, but in ceremony. The great hall is full again. Nobles line the sides. Guards stand in perfect symmetry. The throne rises above all of it, unchanged. As if nothing has shifted. As if the world is still the same. You walk forward. Every step echoes. No one speaks your name. That is the third sign. You stop at the center. You kneel. Because that is what you have always done. Because that is who you are. You wait. And finally, the king speaks. You have served the crown faithfully. Past tense. You feel it before you understand it. You have fought with honor. Past tense. The words fall like stones, each one heavier than the last. There are concerns. You lift your head, just slightly, enough to see him. He does not look at you. And in that moment, you understand everything. You are not being judged. You are being removed. The accusations come next. They always do. Carefully constructed. Vague enough to be unquestionable. Serious enough to be irreversible. Disobedience. Ambition. Influence. Words chosen not for truth, but for effect. You listen. Because you must. Because interrupting would only confirm what they already decided. You scan the room, looking for one face, one man, anyone. But every gaze avoids yours, even those who once called you brother. You are standing now. You don't remember rising, but you are no longer kneeling. And suddenly, every hand in the room is on a weapon. You don't reach for yours. Not yet, because this is the final test. Not of skill, but of understanding. You look back at the king, and this time he meets your eyes. For a brief moment, and in that moment you see it clearly. Not hatred, not even fear. Relief. You were never the threat. You were the reminder of what he is not, of what he can never be. You understand now. Your loyalty was never the problem. It was your presence, your victories, your certainty, your ability to act when he hesitated. Kings do not fear enemies. They fear comparisons. You are surrounded, but you are calm, because now, finally, the confusion is gone. This was decided long before today. The messenger, the silence, the guarded doors. This moment was only the performance. You take a step back, not in retreat, in acknowledgement. The floor beneath you feels different now. Colder, distant, like you are already no longer part of this place. You could fight. You know that. You could cut through them, break the line, reach the doors, maybe even escape the castle. But then what? A night without a king, a blade without a cause, a story that ends not in honor, but in exile. You place your hand on your sword. Slowly, every man tenses, but you do not draw it. Instead, you remove it and place it on the ground. The sound echoes louder than any battle. You kneel again, but this time, not for him, for yourself, for everything you believed this was. The order is given. Quietly, almost gently, you hear the steps behind you. You do not turn, because you already know. It won't be an enemy. It will be one of your own. Someone you trained. Someone who learned from your hands how to strike cleanly. You close your eyes, not in fear, but in clarity, because now you understand the final truth. You were never betrayed in this moment. You were betrayed the day your loyalty made you indispensable, and therefore replaceable. The blade moves, and the story ends exactly as it was meant to. Not with chaos, not with resistance, but with silence. And somewhere above you, a king finally feels safe.